we got Yavette on here today and her beautiful little daughter. And like, this is what's cool about this is real life for her. She, you know, like your daughter's there because you're running a business, running your lead gen, and you have a daughter and you're a single mom, and like, that's just, it is what it is. And she's like, who is this crazy guy? She's super cute. So like, yeah, so it's cool. And I've got kids. And so we're gonna set expectations and let you guys know she's probably gonna jump in a couple times because she's a kid, and it is what it is. I love it. It's part of life. So guys, I wanted to, this is going to be a really cool interview. And I said the same thing that I said to everybody. It's like, our purpose here is, I want to ask Yavette some questions about her deal. I want to talk about like her story. I want to ask her just some of that kind of stuff. And the purpose is to help somebody that's out there, because no matter how many of these interviews we do, there's always going to be somebody that says, oh yeah, Yavette can do it, but Jeff can do it, but Elvis can do it, but Nick can do it, but, and so the more of these I show, the more I'm trying to squash that of like, guys, there's always somebody out there that's got like a tougher, you know, like more odds to beat or more things that they're dealing with. And like, some of us think that we're busy. Until you've been a single mom, I don't think you even know what busy is. Like, and obviously I can't say that I totally relate, but like, I feel busy and I don't even have to deal with my kids because my wife does. And so like, I can't even imagine. So it's, anyway, hats off to you, but we kind of want to dig in, and I just want to ask her. So Yavette, just to kind of recap, she closed her first flat fee deal and her first lead generation deal since buying her first program back in 2016, correct?
Yes, 2016.
Now, in fairness to her, she bought her initial program to kind of like help with her own business. And so she just like within the last two-ish years has started like try and build an agency on the back of this program because of some things that happened in her personal life. But she has known about lead generation since 2016. And this is her very first flat fee lead generation deal. And she did it in a matter of like 2.5 weeks, right?
2.5 weeks.
Yeah.
We called.
Yeah. So she joined into our flat fee mastery program 2.5 weeks ago. And I said the same thing. I'm like, hey, I need you to get a deal in 30 days. And she's like, I will get a deal in 30 days. and she did. She almost did it in half the time. So anyway, nice work. But I want you, if you don't mind, like, give people a little bit of background as far as like you, like, okay, you got started in 2016. You were doing it for a business that you and your husband at the time were running. And then like, walk us through from that point till now, just really briefly, if you don't mind.
Yeah, so I paid for a program in 2016, and I did it because we had a business. It was a paint and sip business, and I wanted to bring in more traffic. And so I kind of created this lead gen website, and then I optimized our website, and it really helped. And so I was doing that for like 3 years until I went through my own situation where we were starting the divorce, and the business kind of took a toll as well. So that all went downhill. And then I was pretty much on my own financially and just on my own as a parent as well. I was living in Virginia at the time, and I flew out as, Mina, 1 second, okay? From Virginia, and I left my life in Virginia to live with family in California. And my daughter was literally a newborn. So I had to really start my life all over and from the ground up with really nothing, like no money in my account. And so I've been here in California for like 3 years, like 3.5 years. And I, like the first few years, I couldn't really do anything because it was just more about parenting. And it wasn't until like maybe 2.5 years ago that I started to kind of look at this more seriously. And It's been difficult because I didn't really have a process on how I would do it. I kind of got warm leads for website design and SEO, but my biggest thing was I wanted to do lead gen, and I just didn't know how to do it. And I started joining more groups, and I joined this one group, lead generated group. And that's when they had accountability groups. And I was like, this is perfect, because I was trying to manifest ways to put myself in a surrounding that's going to put me closer to my goals. And that wasn't easy for me because I'm an introvert. And I'm like, I don't want to interact with all these people. But I pushed myself and I joined the accountability group. And that's where I met Loren and Spencer. Cool. And I think they're both in, like, I think Loren is in the flat fee mastery, yep, and Spencer is in the free group.
Cool. And Loren, he's I'm trying to think if I'm speaking to the right guy. And it's not Lawrence, it's Loren, you said?
Loren. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He is. Just barely. He just barely got in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, awesome. And by the way, just a quick shout out, like, that's the lead generator. That's Patrick Shannon's group, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, cool dude. Recommend. I'm in that group as well. It's a cool group. Most groups are a waste of time. That's a cool one. So I'll give a plug there. And yeah, that's a cool group. So what year roughly? So okay, just recap. You guys have the business. You're doing lead gen or trying to. That's why you bought the program. You and your husband start the process of divorce. You basically are starting life over, and like no money. You got your basically newborn daughter. What year is this?
Where newborn?
Yeah, like when you just kind of like had to start over.
2018.
2018. So like literally like starting from scratch, but now you have someone that depends on you on top of everything, right?
Yes.
Crazy. So
yes.
what was your thought process like? You're like, okay, I've got this program now, like I got to make this work because now I got to take care of my kid and I need something I can do from home, or like what made you decide to get back into it?
I needed something that would allow me to meet my goals of being around my daughter. So I didn't necessarily, I mean, I've done the 9 to 5, I've had corporate, I made 6 figures before, and I didn't want that. So I was like, how can I figure out a way to be around my daughter and still make an income? And so because I already had the skill set and I like the concept, I really do like doing this. I was like, it makes sense. It makes perfect. And I've seen people, become successful with it. I knew that it was possible. I just didn't know how I was going to do it because of, I feel like for me, fear has been a shadow in my life for a while. And so I had to like really work on my mindset before I even understood that it was possible for me to do it.
What do you like, if you don't mind me asking, what do you think you were like, were you afraid of just like doing it and then failing? And like, what was the fear?
Yes, the fear of failure and then reinforcing. So if I did it and I failed, then it would reinforce that I can't possibly do it. It's just like that little cycle of like, if you fail, then you're just reinforcing your own thoughts that it can't happen.
Yeah. No, I think it's crazy because like sometimes you hear that stuff and to some people that have never been through it, they don't get it. They're like, we'll just like almost like you could just make a decision and snap out of it, Mm-hmm. And like it's more than that. You know what I mean? Like you actually have to go through some work to actually like get out of that cycle, and it's scary. Like it's super scary. And I've got friends, I've personally been through it. I've got friends that are still going through it, but they keep getting pushed down by it. And like, it's a real thing, right? It feels like a real physical, like weight on you.
It is. It's a real thing because you're stuck in your brain and you have to really.
And I would venture to say like having a daughter that depends on you, like exacerbates it even more. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Cause you have to do it for her, and you have to, my thing is I want to show her that I don't want her to, this fear to pass down to her. That's another thing. And I want to see that I can be successful as well.
So I put in the live stream title, I put the bigger the why, the easier the how, because when you and I talked 3 weeks ago or whatever, when you joined into the program, I
Mhm.
asked you, I said, what do you want to do this for? What's your goal? But like, why? Would you mind sharing that? Because yours is like, there's like the surface level stuff of like, oh, I want to go and like show everyone, prove everybody wrong. But like, I remember yours was like way deeper than that. Like what is it? What is driving you? Like, what's the thing that, even though you've been in this 6 years or whatnot, had like some success, had all this stuff going on, like what keeps driving you? What's your why to make this work?
Mhm. Um, for me, so I'm living with family right now, but that time is expiring. I mean, it wasn't supposed to be permanent. It was supposed to, help catapult me. But if I don't do this, I can predict. I don't think I'll be on the streets, but I need to have a place over, like a roof over my head. I need to be able to be stable. And so if I don't bring in an income, then I don't really know what my next move is, because living here, and I live in the back house by my aunt, and living here is pretty much expiring. She asked me literally like a month ago, like, okay, so when are you
Yeah.
moving? And I'm like, okay, I have a plan. I'm just, and that's another thing, is just trying to make sure to prove to not only to myself and my daughter, but like, okay, I can do this. Because most of them are saying, well, why haven't you gotten a 9 to 5 yet? They don't really understand that I really like that I want to raise my daughter, and I don't necessarily want to put her everywhere, for her to be raised by someone else.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and yeah, because like right now you could go get a 9 to 5 and you could get to, let's say, 3,000 a month, 4,000 a month faster. But
Mm-hmm.
you doing this is going to get you to 10,000, 15,000, 20,000. Like, first of all, the first option, doing a 9 to 5, you're not going to get there doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And like, if you do, you have to be in the right company with, like, you're talking like 15, 20 years of kissing ass and all this different stuff. Like, so yeah, I think some people look at it and they're like, well, why don't you just go get a job? Like, these places are paying really well. It's like, well, yeah, but I would rather like start a little bit slower, because my end goal is 15,000 a month, 20,000 a month, 50,000 a month, which is not possible with a regular job.
Mm-mm.
And on
And
top of that, I can't do that from home raising my daughter.
yeah, and I'm missing out on raising my daughter. And I think that was a big important factor for me, even before I was divorcing. Was my goal was to homeschool my daughter, or to be a stay-at-home wife or mother. So that's a big deal for me.
Tell me what your schedule, like, for everyone out there that's like, I'm so busy, I got so much going on, blah 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 blah. What's your schedule like right now to be able to raise a daughter and
Mm-hmm.
do the business? Like, what does a day look like for you? Because I know we were messaging at like 12 and you were up at 5:30. So walk me through a regular day in your life.
Um, so when she's here, um, probably when I wake up really early, that's when I do like things that I need to do for the business. And right now, since I'm just starting, like that's the time I do my calls. Um, but before I wasn't doing calls, obviously. But
Yeah.
that's when I do my calls, or but then during the day I'm homeschooling her. During the day, so morning work, then during the day I'm homeschooling, cooking for her, spending time with her, because she's very she needs me a lot.
She's high
uh
energy. She's high energy for sure, right?
Energetic.
Yeah.
And then when I put her down to sleep around 7:30 to 8:30, that's when I get maybe around that time until like maybe 1 or 2 in the morning, I'm like working on tedious. And then if she's in, like, just recently she was able to go to my father's house, and so that's when I've also like picked up a lot more steam, and I was able to go to a cafe during the time that she's at my father's house, and that helped me a lot too.
So you're doing like all the like the calls and stuff in the morning when you're fresh. Then you're like with your daughter doing homeschooling, cooking, the whole deal. And then it's like 8 o'clock, she goes to bed and you jump back on the computer and do all like the tedious like fulfillment stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, somebody on here tell me that they're busier than that. Like there's having a job during the day, and like there's raising a kid. Totally different things. Totally different things. And kids, especially high energy kids, they're very time consuming and energy consuming. So anyway, hats off to you. Like it's crazy. So just so you guys understand, like when my wife goes out of town, which she doesn't that often, and I have the kids for like a day, I barely can handle it. Like not like, it's not even a question that I'm for sure not getting any work done, because the second they're asleep, I'm like, TV's on, I'm eating a bag of chips, and I'm like freaking just recovering.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but for you, that it's not like, okay, they go to bed, now I just bed. It's like, okay, now I got to get back. Now I got to go to work.
Mm-hmm. I don't have a lot of me time.
Self-care time. There's not a lot of Netflix and chill going on for Yavette right now, guys. So anyway, I wanted to point that out because like it's inspiring and it should be a kick in the pants for anyone that's like, oh, I'm so busy, I really want to make this work, but like I just got a lot going on right now. It's like, okay, do you have more going on? And is your schedule as tight as hers? Like what time do you wake up?
Well, today I was up at 5:30, so it's between like 5:30, 6:30, but that's also a time that I kind of use that time to reflect and meditate for like maybe 30 minutes, because obviously mindset is important. That's how I got where I'm at.
That's cool. I love that. So, okay, let's talk about this deal. Let's talk about this freaking deal. I wanted to just paint the story there because nobody has any excuses. You can say, yeah, Nick, you can do it, but you can say, yeah, Jeff, but you can, like, all these things, which is BS. But like how are you gonna say, okay, you know, Yavette can do it, but I've got like, okay, no, that's what's cool about this whole thing. So, all right, 6 years in like knowing how to do this, you got a couple of SEO deals, you know, or what are SEO web deals that were kind of referrals. Why didn't you sell any lead gen deals? Did you not believe in it? Did you not know how to sell it? Did you not, like, what was the reason why you hadn't done it?
I didn't know how to do it. I mean, I didn't know how to sell it. And I think that, 1 second. That's okay. I didn't know I didn't have a process. And this was what made it clear for me. Like, I don't know, in my head, I was an overthinker. So it was difficult for me to figure out, I knew I was gonna figure it out, but it's just, I didn't know where to go. And
like, hold on, you didn't know who to call, you didn't know what niche, like, what do you mean you didn't know where to go, or none of it?
I was getting stuck in certain things. Like I was getting stuck on picking a niche. I was getting stuck on like, well, should I just build the websites first, have them rank,
right,
and you know, feel more comfortable doing that, so I know for sure, like, okay, I'm bringing in leads, which I was doing for a second. Like I was building, like I have 10 websites that I built, but they're fairly new, so they're not really bringing in leads yet. And then when I got into this program with the free group, it was like, oh, this makes sense. Like, okay, let's try this. You know, I was nervous at. I was like, yeah. I mean, I thought it made sense, but it was like I still had a level of fear because I'm like, this means I have to call people.
I think that's the biggest thing is like sometimes we say that we're like, okay, well, maybe, you know, I think that's why it's such an easy thing to get into is like, I'll build the sites. And then once they start ranking and bringing in leads, then I'll call. And honestly, what it is, it's a really good crutch to make sure that we don't have to do the one thing that actually gets us money, right? Mm-hmm. Which is picking up the phone and calling people. How comfortable are you doing that?
Now or before?
Before. You said you're an introvert, like all this different things, like on a scale of 1 to 10, like how excited were you to call people?
0. This was not my thing. I was trying to try to email campaigns. Like, you know, I joined a group where, you know, learn how to do the email campaign. It was just so many different things I was trying to do to make sure I didn't have to call. someone. I was pretty much self-sabotaging. And yeah, just calling someone, it kind of reminded me of an interview you had before with someone. I was paralyzed. Like
Kareem, he was petrified. He was paralyzed on the phone.
I was, yeah, just talking to someone and going back to thinking that I would mess something up, or I would sound a certain way, or just all of the things that were going on in my head that weren't real.
Can I ask you a question? Did you, in your head, some of those fears, because, and I'll just ask it candidly, like, did you ever have the thought like, oh, no one's going to take a woman seriously?
I was thinking that no one's going to take me seriously. I look too young. And, you know, different, and then just to be candid, like different states, are they going to take a Black woman seriously? I thought about all of those things.
Yeah. And I only bring that up because, like, personally, and you guys know this because I hired a woman setter. Like, I believe you guys have an advantage and you should use it. But like, I think for some reason, women get it in their head. They're like, well, I'm not like, no one's going to take me seriously. And in my head, I'm like, dude, like, you have every advantage because no one expects you to call. You know what I mean? But at the same time, it's like a real thing because I think we all have these things like, oh, I'm, like you said, I'm a woman, I'm a Black woman, I'm this or that. And it's like, no one's going to take me seriously. It's like, well, have you actually, is there any proof that that's true? Or is that just in your head? Right?
In my head. I mean, there's real situations with people, but in this case, if there's it was in my head.
Well, but yeah, and that's the same. I mean, it's the same thing that I could say, okay, well, because I'm let's say this, I'm Mormon, right? Like I'm from Utah, and people think that Mormons are whatever. Like, yeah, there's probably somebody that I could call and they probably wouldn't want to do business with me because of that. There's always going to be those people, but I think we get these things in our head that are like completely false. There's no evidence that proves that it's real. And so we just have to, like, okay, so how did you go from that, all that fear, whatever, did you just, it's like, okay, now it's time to pick up the phone and you just did it? Or like, how did you do it?
No, I've been working on my mindset for a while. I've been meditating and self-affirming. And I just got to this point. Also, I've been listening to people that looks like me, that's also doing well, and hearing what they have to say. So I just would listen to that in the mornings before I go to bed. And I'm just like, I'm just going to do it. And it was just to a certain point where I realized, like, if I'm doing the mindset thing, that's 80% of it. Then the 20% is the self-actualization, the actual work. Yeah. And if I'm going to do it, I have to tell God or the universe that I'm ready for it. I can't just be in my head and changing my mindset and then don't actually do it to show that I'm ready for it. You know, like, it has to manifest somehow. So I was just like, let me just do it. And when I got in this program, it just seemed to align with what I was trying to manifest. Like I said, I was trying to manifest surrounding myself with something that's going to help catapult me to that next level, even with mindset, because I think just hearing you in the group over and over kind of target some of the fears that I was having, and just hearing the testimonies, and I'm like, I could do this. And it just kept pumping up. I could do this. It's gonna be okay.
And especially if you see somebody like freaking Burhan, you're like, dude, if that guy can do it, like, anybody can do it, right? I had to take a crack at him. I'm just messing with him. So tell us about this deal. Okay. So, I know that somebody asked in the group when you posted, they said, was this an existing site or whatever? And it sounds like this was an existing site, but no leads were coming to it. So you like ran some ads to get some leads coming in. So first of all, is that what you did?
Yeah, that's what I did. I had the website already.
Okay. So you had the website, you started running ads, and then tell us, like, when you called, was it the first person you called, the fifth person you called? Like, what was that call? Was it like, how did that go when you called the person that you ended up selling?
That was the second day. So I was prospecting. Mind you, when I ran the Google ads, I wasn't expecting to get leads so quickly for this particular niche, because one of the other niches that I was trying, I spent already $200, and I still at this moment I stopped it, but I didn't get any leads or anything. But so I wasn't expecting leads right away. But as soon as I clicked on, like literally like the next day, I was getting calls. I was like, oh, okay. And so then
now
I just
you're like, crap, now I got a call, right?
I got to it. And I did the first day, I just went through my list and I started calling, and I got one person. They didn't answer. A lot of people did not answer their phone, which is weird. But one person answered, and he seemed interested until I told him. He asked me where I was, and I told him California. He's like, oh no, never mind. I thought you were local, and I didn't know really what to say to that, but he was like, he doesn't want the freely. I was like, okay, Miss, wait 1 second. Okay. So then the second day is when I started going through the list again, and I went through my home advisor and my Angie list, and I called her. I called maybe like 2 people before her, and he answered the phone. And that's when I told her I did the whole script, just like, it's been done plenty of times. And she even, answered the same way, the script, like, oh, well, what are you doing? What's this? And
yeah.
and I told her, and she was like, oh, okay. And she's like, yeah, I'll take them. And the first one the lead was actual, like a high ticket, 4,000, 9,000. Their price range is 4,000 and 9,000 for that particular lead. They didn't close that one, but it was a high ticket. And then I was sending her leads like over 5 days. And on the 5th day, that's when I told her, okay, let's have a call, but I want to make sure that you and your husband are, because it's a family business, you and your husband are on the call. And that's when it kind of like started. I don't know. We were going back and forth for a while because she couldn't get lock her husband down. So I was ready to go to the next person. And then finally she ended up calling me like maybe 2 days later, and she's like, can you do it tomorrow? And then right when she said that, my daughter had a fever. And I'm like, really?
Yeah.
And then I found out she had COVID. And so I was like, oh, I can't, because she just needed me. I could not. And I was like up all night, and it was just, I couldn't. My mindset wasn't right. I just couldn't do it. So I was like, maybe we could do it tomorrow. I was thinking that I was going to be able to do it tomorrow, and I couldn't do it tomorrow. And then I just texted her. I said, look, I actually asked the group, I don't know if you remember that, like, how do I keep the momentum knowing that, I had to take care of a baby who had COVID, who was sick, and I knew she was interested. And so I just sent her a text letting her know, like, my daughter has COVID, and I'll circle back around. But if you're still interested, then we can set up a call pretty soon. And she's like, yeah, I'm still interested. And so then between that time and that, it was a week later, which is yesterday.
So how many leads total did you send this lady?
5 or 6.
5 or 6 leads. Did they close any of the leads, or not to your knowledge?
3 or 4.
Okay, heck yeah. So they're good closers. So tell me, how was the close? Like did you do the screencast before and jump on? It sounds like you made sure the husband was there. You followed all that, so she didn't have to talk to the husband. Yeah, did you do the screencast?
I did the screencast, and I sent it to her like maybe 3 hours before I call.
Perfect.
And she was able to watch it. And then when I jumped on the call with her, she had her daughter on the live on the Zoom with her. So it just worked out because she was just really calm and chill. And we already created rapport, but she was really calm and chill. And she was dealing with her daughter in the background, and I had my daughter. and she didn't have her husband. I was like, oh, so is Greg going to join us? And she's like, no, he had a call and he was. And I was like, oh, she's like, but don't worry, because I've been telling her also that I had other prospects. So I tried to create urgency, but she was like, don't worry. I make the decisions. I was like, okay. She's like, I know that that's what you wanted, but I'm going to make the decision. I was like, okay, so you're able to make a decision today. She's like, yeah. I was like, okay.
No. Cool. So, and that we've said that before, like we know the process that works, right? Like you have a better chance of closing the deal if both decision makers are there. Mm-hmm. But sometimes like it just doesn't, like you just can't, right? Like in that situation, you tried, and it would have probably been a mistake for you to say, hey, let's jump back on later, because it'd been so long. And you just freaking sent it and you locked the deal.
Yes.
I love it. I love it. And it sounds like she respected, like she knew what you were trying to do. You wanted to get the decision. But how hard was the actual close itself? Did you have to overcome a bunch of objections, or did it feel pretty easy?
It was really easy. And I was like, what? I mean, when I was asking her whys, like one of the things that I also was feared, because I'm an introvert, sometimes it's hard to create connections sometimes. So I like, what can I connect with her? And the biggest thing that I connected with her was being a mom. And I asked her her whys, like why does she want to grow this business and what's important to her? And her biggest thing was the same thing that I said. I was like, this is just alignment. This is what I was asking for. She said, because I want to raise my daughter and I don't want other people to raise my daughter. And I'm like, that's it. So we just connected on that level. And I used selling through clients method that you presented. I used that a lot throughout the conversation. And she was just like, yeah. And it was almost to the point where she was just like, okay, I'm just going to give you the card anyway. Like, yeah. I felt like she wanted me to go through the script. I didn't really go through the whole script. And then I just told her at the end, the price. And I kind of did something similar to what you did in your videos, where you just say, okay, well, let me just have, take down your information, your address. I didn't ask her, like, how did she feel about the price? I was just like, okay, well, let me take down the information and your credit card number and we'll move forward.
And she did it.
She did it.
Isn't that crazy when you do that? It's like in your head, you're like, I don't know. But then like you just assume the sale. And I remember doing this door to door. I do this now. And like, there are still times I'm like, I don't have any idea. Like, I know I've done a really good job. So like, I'm pretty like now with this process, I pretty much know I'm going to get it before I get on the phone. But there are still times when I'm like, dude, is this person just going to like scream at me, or are they like, and they're like, yeah, let me grab my card. Hold on 1 second. And you're like, okay, I guess we're in. Did you expect the close to be this big ordeal, like super difficult and all that kind of stuff?
Did I expect it to be a big ordeal, or?
Yeah, like were you expecting it to be that smooth and that easy?
No, I was trying to practice all my objections and my responses. So no, I wasn't expecting it at all.
So, and what's funny is if you had posted that call or whatever, every single person, what they would think, they'd be like, oh yeah, well, anyone could close that deal. That was super easy. But guys, what you don't realize is that all the objections that person would have had, Yavette overcame those during the setup. And so she did, because she followed it perfectly, she didn't have objections, right? That's why. So, and that's what I love about this. Like, your call, it wasn't high pressure. You didn't have to like do this crazy stuff and this and that. Like, you got on and she's like, yeah, sounds good. Let's do it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it made sense that she was like, we're targeting people that are already paying for things. So she was paying for Angie's List and she hated it, and like anyone else. And so she was like, yeah, that's very, I told her the price. She's like, that's very similar to what I'm paying now with Angie's List. So for sure, like, and then she even asked me if I'm able to target other areas. And I told her I I didn't know how to respond, but what I said was like, okay, well, this site is targeting this area, but what we can do is work out something where I can create another site that targets the area that you want to go in, because she said those other areas are closer.
Yeah. So what you can do there really easy. That means you could expand that client into like because by the way, her deal that Yvette got was $1,000 per month. Did you do a contract on it?
I sent her a contract. She hasn't signed. It's a 6-month contract. She hasn't signed it yet, but she already paid.
But she knows already it's yeah. So, but what you could do is like, now that you're going, you could find out, okay, what other cities is she interested in? And then you could go build 1-page landing pages, run a couple bucks ads, and you could say, hey, Susan, I know you were interested in this area. It looked like a really good area. I just went ahead and spent my own money. I'm already doing it. If you're interested, let's talk. If not, I'll find somebody else. I guarantee you're getting her on that location too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So anyway, that's the cool part, is when you get a client, and guys, it's the same concept we talked about like 2 weeks ago on our weekly call, or 10 days ago. It's like, if you over deliver. So now the game is for you, Yvette. It's like, okay, if you actually over deliver for her, she is going to keep expanding with you. She's going to keep sending you people. She's going to tell her friends like, yo, there's this awesome lady that has this cool business. She's like, she's raising her daughter. Like, she connected with you, and she's like, you got to talk. Like, you're going to get so much business from her if you just manage the expectations, but also over deliver on them, which I know you're really trying to do, because now you've been asking questions like, hey, like, how do I say, so I know that's your plan, but it's a really cool spot that you're in. You have a good opportunity to like take that client into like 3,000 to 5,000 a month. And then it's like, now the game's changed for you, like completely, everything's changed. So I want to ask you this. When you got that deal, I asked you this kind of already. When you got that deal and you got the credit card you got off, what was the feeling like? How did it feel? Because that was like your first big girl deal. Like, these other ones were referrals. Like, you called her, you did the leads, you got on the phone, you asked for the credit card. Like, how did that feel?
I was pumped. I felt like like the boogeyman was lifted off of my shoulder. That was like hanging on me. Like, it was a weight that I felt, because I also, before the call and before I had the deal, I was visualizing what I would feel like. And I felt like that. I felt really good. Like, oh my God, I finally did it. And it's not just, it was more than just the deal. It was more like I was able to overcome a personal barrier that was bigger than just this deal.
So it was kind of like all that self-doubt, that negativity. You're like, oh, no, that's not true. Now I can do this.
Yes, I can do it.
How much it, like, what I think is cool, and that's why I love these interviews, especially right after people get the deals. Like, it's almost like the whole world kind of opens up. Like, before it was like, yeah, this model works, but like, I'm scared of the sale and I don't know if I can do the sale. And like, that's always going to hold me up. And it's like, now, do you have any doubt you could create a $10,000, $20,000 a month business?
No, I don't have a doubt. Can you hold on 1 second? Hold on.
Yeah, you're good. Yeah, no, you're good. What we'll do is this. She's probably got to deal with her daughter for a second, and then we'll do a little bit of Q&A and let her go. But yeah, guys, the biggest thing that I found, just to kind of riff here for a second, is like, if you haven't gotten a deal, if you're somebody that's like been in this, like, this space at all, like you bought a program previously or whatever, right? Or maybe you're just kind of exploring, that you're kind of like in this spot where you believe it, but you're like, I don't know. But when you guys, like, everything changes the moment you get a deal, the moment you get that first deal. And there's different levels of deals. There's completely different levels of deals. There's your referral website build one time, there's the SEO deal, and then there's the holy grail of holy grails, which is a flat fee freaking deal. And it's like, it changes the game. So if that's you I'm speaking to, that's like, you haven't gotten the deal yet, or you've gotten like, maybe like Kareem, it got like a $400 deal one time, or Jeff that got a couple of like little deals, keep going. Because once you guys freaking get that first deal, everything changes. And I kind of wish, Yavette, are you back?
Yes.
Okay, cool. I was gonna say, I kind of like, I gotta figure something out where we can like somehow interview people before and like see their demeanor and everything and their swag and like after, because it's completely different. And I guarantee you're waking up now like with a little bit of hop in your step and you're like, all right, like,
yeah,
I got this.
Right. I feel that. I mean, I think when we had our call, when I told you I wanted to join Flat Fee Mastery, I was like, I was in almost tears. Because I was like, I gotta make this work. You know, I just, so like it's a different feeling now. Like it is gonna work. So
I remember that call. It was like, it wasn't like I asked you your stuff, but it was a very serious like call. You were telling me your why, and I'm like, shit, I knew you were gonna do it when you were telling me, because I'm like, that's why I put this in the thing. Like when the bigger the why, the easier the how. Cause like I knew, and I wasn't surprised to see you get the deal, but like I'm not gonna lie, I was a little bit surprised how fast you got it.
Okay.
Because you did it in like 2 weeks. Like it seems like well, maybe it's been like 2.5, but like anyway,
maybe
it's cool. Like if I could wish something on everyone, it's that first deal. Like it's the most incredible feeling. And again, I was messing with Elvis. I'm like asking if he's done drugs and stuff. Like, but like I can imagine it's like the first time you take drugs or whatever. It's like there's nothing else like it. It's incredible. So, what's your goal for 2022, revenue wise?
The goal that I set was 15,000 a month in 6 months. Okay. So I'm kind of by 6 months increment. Yes.
What do you need to do what do you need to be by the end of quarter one? You need to be at like 7,500, right?
Yeah, around that.
So if you get like another deal in the next 10 days, you're right on pace.
Yep. And I plan on it because I have campaigns that are running right now. I have 2 campaigns that are running right now.
I love this. Okay. Any advice for somebody, let's say somebody that's like dealing with like some self-doubt, some mindset stuff that's like, they know this is the model. They know the vehicle works. And by the way, if you guys don't think the model works, then this is either the greatest business model on the internet, or we're all a bunch of liars and we're all going to go to hell. And we're all part of a freaking cult, which we actually are. So maybe I shouldn't say that. No, I'm just kidding. But like, talk to somebody that's in that rut. Like, cause I know I personally have friends that are in this group, and they've seen me do it. They know it works. They've seen the interviews, but like, they just can't get out of their head. What advice do you give someone like that that's dealing with so much self-doubt that nobody, like, I couldn't see it from the outside, but it's such a heavy weight? What would you tell that person?
I would tell that person to really work on their mindset, whether it's through meditations or self-affirmations, or listening to people who are successful, who are like kind of ministering to you in a way that know what you can do it, and then just know that the way to combat the thoughts is to actually do it, because once you do it, then those thoughts are a lie. The thoughts that you couldn't do it is a lie, because you actually just did it. You took that step forward, so the action part is just is important in addition to the mindset part.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there any practical, like, do you recommend any books, any I don't know, interviews on YouTube, podcasts? Like where would somebody start if they're like, they just need to like with mindset stuff?
Yeah, 1 second. Yes. I thought of a game. Okay, 1 second. Okay. And
hey, we're gonna be in. How old is she?
4. She just turned 4.
So let's give her like 4 years. She'll be building websites for you.
Right. As far as podcasts, I don't have one on the top of my head. What I can do is post it under this interview if I have specific, but I do listen. I go on, I have Apple Music. I listen to meditations there, guided meditations there. And I'll just post on the link because I can't think of the top of my head.
Yeah,
right
no,
now.
that's fine. That's fine. And I do have one last question.
Uh-huh.
Be honest with me. When you joined this group, did you think this is a scam? Like straight up. I'm hoping that you're gonna say yes. Did you think that like this is all a scam and like, oh, this guy's like it's just foo blah blah blah? Like straight up, I'm not gonna be offended. I actually want to hear the truth. Did you think it was a scam?
No, actually, I didn't. What I thought was like, okay, is this just another group? I didn't think it was a scam, but this is another group that I'm just gonna join, that I'm not gonna take action in. Like that's what I thought. And it wasn't necessarily you, because somebody recommended the free group. So I kind of like trusted them. Okay. I do remember when I joined, you posted a post and you were like, does somebody know this person? Did somebody vet this person? Because
and it was you?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Because that was you. I love it. I'm still that way. Like I've got like a bunch of pending things. I just want to make sure to keep the group very tight. So that's hilarious. Well, and here we are, and you're legit. So yeah. What do you think made you like, of all the free groups you're a part of, what made you, this will be my last one, then you can go. Mm-hmm. What was it about this that you're like, it actually made you take action? After all the free groups you're part of, all this stuff, you paid for programs, like why'd you take action on this?
I think because of the practical way that you teach, just how like these 6 simple steps, you do this, then you can do that. And that the fact that you say, over delivering, like you were able to give us so much value in the free group that I knew that it was possible. I think that's what it was. It's like, oh, yeah, this is practical. It doesn't seem too difficult. I mean, even though I had my own thoughts, it didn't seem too difficult to go through.
Got it. That's good. That was just good feedback. I was curious. So real quick, let's see. Jared Bell says, congrats, Yvette. Thanks for coming on. Ryan Leonard said, that's how it was for me yesterday. We chatted. Then I laid out the actual offer, and I had already covered the objections that I knew he had because he listed them all in the discovery process. He just agreed, like, yeah, obviously I'm in. How can I say no to that? Nice work, Ryan. Sounds like Ryan just got a deal. Would love to hear more about it, Ryan, and thanks for sharing that. John says, this is so cool. I cannot wait to get my first deal. Sounds so cool. And he says he's up for being interviewed.